All right, I want to talk a little bit about the pencil tool. And that is a really wonderful tool with a lot of different options and features that make drawing a more organic and really pleasurable experience in Illustrator. So I'm going to click on that and you'll see I've got fill new pencil strokes selected and also close paths. That's selected, that's good. And I have my fidelity at the first notch in. So it's going to be pretty responsive, but it's going to kind of smooth out some of the imperfections as I'm drawing. Just so that we can see everything, I'm going to increase the point size. So up at the top of your menu, you can make changes to the stroke. All right, so I'm just going to make a basic line. We've got 6 points, just using the pencil tool. Boom, exciting, right? If I click on stroke, you'll see I can also change the width here. You see it's corresponding on the other side, so you can see that preview. But I can change the end cap. So here it's just flat. Maybe I want a softer, rounded cap. You'll see here just the difference in the end styles. I'm going to turn that back to something that's, very blunt. If I wanted to make a dashed line, so here I've got a 10-point dash, a 4-point gap, and then, let's make this really noticeable. So it doesn't need to be the same dash and gap. So let's go 18 points with a, let's go with a 20-point gap. All right. Let's see what this wonderful thing looks like. All right. Go back on stroke. I don't want a dashed line anymore. I can deselect that. Now I'm back to just drawing a solid line. Dash line, I can change it. So let's put a 4-point dash with a 4-point gap. So I'm going to just delete the values in those other dashing gaps. All right. So what does that look like? All right. And what happens if I make this a rounded line? Ooh, look at that. You really can't see, when it's rounded, you really can't see the space. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to increase the gap. I'm going to put it up to 12, and let's see what happens here. So now we almost have a dotted line. What can we do to get a dotted line? I'm going to put my dash, I'm going to put it at 1 point. Let's see what happens. There you go, not too bad. I wonder if I make this a little bit smaller in terms of the point size. That could be kind of fun. Sometimes I'll use this dash line if I'm wanting to draw like stitching on something, so it looks like you can actually see like the thread kind of popping in and out of the fabric. So that's kind of cool. What else? I'm going to go back here. Let's make our point size larger so you can see it. I'm going to take the rounded cap off, and I don't want dashed. Over here, these are different profiles, so it's kind of like the shape of the stroke. And uniform, think of it, that is like your classic micron pen. But, I'm going to take this down just a little bit. There are different shapes that you can have your paths take. So this, it's tapered on both ends. So to find that, right underneath uniform, if I click this little arrow. All of these options. Let me make this a little bit heavier stroke. And I absolutely freaking love this feature. You can look like you have the most insane control of inking with a traditional brush. I mean, top-notch ninja comic artist skills. And there's different profiles, so here's one that kind of undulates in and out. Again, this is all for the pencil tool. I apologize, my machine's lagging. It's not good at recording a whole display. Now, this is all cool stuff, but what is so fun about Illustrator is it has a newish feature called the width tool. And probably on your tool palette, you won't see it right away, but it's underneath this little warp tool grouping. This is probably what's going to default looks like, you know, a rectangle with a little oval chomped out of it. Anything that has a little triangle on the corner means there's more good stuff. So if you click and hold on anything, any tool that has that little triangle, there's more fun stuff. And what we want is this very first option, the width tool. So if I take this and I hover over a line, notice how the line looks blue and my arrow has a little plus. Look what it's going to do. I can change my stroke profile to whatever I want. So let me select this so it's activated. And you'll see it previewing up here. So now I can draw with this shape. It took me it took me far too long, so I'm embarrassed to say how long it before it dawned on me like I could really make leaves and grass really quickly by just making a stroke profile that looked something like this. You know, I can move these things around. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. Let's rock and roll. Now notice it takes this shape and it stretches it out the full length of the stroke that I make, the path that I make. So if I make a really short line, it just kind of compresses it versus something like this. So it takes that and really pulls that along the whole length of the path. So, pencil tool, lots of fun things to play around with. Options in under the stroke up here at the top. Click on that. It'll open this menu. And beautiful. I almost like this more than Photoshop, yeah, for doing kind of comic book inking type work. Illustrator with the pencil tool and the fidelity settings, it really can make it look like you have the most insane control if you were using a brush and ink, just that taper I love it. It's so fun, and it just brings a whole new character to Illustrator that you wouldn't expect at first. All right, so anyways, pencil tool, fun stuff. Check it out. You can have really expressive line work in Illustrator, and you're drawing just like you would with pen and paper or in Photoshop. It really can be an organic experience.